This week we're joined by Clint Bautz to get an update on the new Lake Effect Taproom. This is episode 140 of the Malting Hour.
What's the haps on the hops? Got yeast, that's beast. This the Malting Hour where we talk about our drink and tell you what we think every other week. And if we get drunk, well, we might slur our speech. Got the gift of gab, the friends you wish you had. Join us for a drink, join us for a laugh. Time is never wasted, where you getting wasted. The Malting Hour here, people take your places. People take your places. People take your home.
Welcome to the Malting Hour. I am one of your hosts, Tony Golick, joined always with
Brandon Winninger.
And we are joined with a special guest who last time we were discussing, it's probably been, was it 3 to 4 years?
About 3 years.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's how long the... Oh, jeez.
Well, I mean, we've mentioned him
Well, yeah.
throughout many episodes.
Clint Bautz is here from Lake Effect. Hi, Clint.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
It's great
Welcome
being down here.
Yeah, welcome back. First time I think we did it in the brewery right before the pandemic. That was one of the times we did
Literally
it.
days before the shutdown.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was it a Fanny's collaboration too?
Yep.
Yeah, we went there. We were in the brewery in the back, and after the event was done, we recorded an episode. I'll send you the link to that. You can revisit that. It's very echoey because we're in the back room there.
Did you guys come to the new location?
We've not been there yet.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
I do see that the open house is Saturday.
Yeah.
I do want to step by.
Yeah. Sure.
It'll be
That'd be good.
the Saturday after this episode.
Yes, after it's already passed. But we can still talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, Clint, you are the owner and proprietor of Lake Effect Brewing, as we've mentioned before many times here, and you've been on the show. For those who don't know, who are listening, why don't you give us a little brief history of where you guys started and where you are now? Because that's really what we're here to do. We're here to catch up with you because some things have changed since we last spoke to you.
Yeah. Sure. Well, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
And the history of Lake Effect. It's a long. I mean, we've been around for maybe like 12 years, and we incorporated in 2011, and our first beers were out to market in 2012. We found a space off of Montrose Avenue in like the Irving Park, Mayfair area. And
it's a very weird corner.
Yeah, it's
Irving Park, Mayfair, Portage Park.
Jefferson. Some people view that closer than down.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who I'm talking to, I'll say, "Oh, we're your neighborhood," because there's like 4. Yeah, it's like the intersection of 4 neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Just a little space in the back alley. I was basically just taking my home brewing and taking it to the next level at that point. So we just needed a small space and to hone our craft and to figure out the business essentially. We had good beers. We didn't know I didn't know very much about distribution and the business side. So it was a little bit of school of hard knocks the first year or so. Just cranking out beers in the alley. I walked around the neighborhood with bottles of our beer, giving them to different buyers at the different places. Sidekicks on Montrose was our first account in the neighborhood, and I worked on them for several weeks with just taste this, taste that, and then we've been servicing that account like the whole time.
Oh, wow.
And
I've delivered a keg there for you once.
Right.
That was one of the deliveries I had
Was
to
that
make.
one of the harder ones?
Yes.
there's some steps involved.
There's some steps involved, but I survived, and so did the keg.
Right.
I didn't realize that was your first.
That was the first in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Technically, the first one was a country club down like on the far south side. We had just we had a connection there, and it wasn't. We tried to create a cluster in that area, but it was just such a long drive because we deliver everything ourselves. So after about 2 years, we stopped going down there. It was just too burdensome. But yeah, we were first did kegs, and then we did bottles. Remember bombers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were part of the
Absolutely.
bomber craze.
Yeah.
We were
Kind of missed bombers every now and then. They were fun to split.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that was craft beer. I mean you could look on the store shelves and it'd just be as far as you can see bombers,
Yeah.
and mostly by just a few of us breweries, because there was only maybe about 10 or 15 at the time, and Pipeworks was churning out a bomber probably every week.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2 or so. But so we were part of that, and then we started. Everybody started professionalizing a little bit with doing like 6-packs. So we were doing a 6-pack, like 12-ounce bottles for a while, and then we got into canning, and we've changed sizes in canning. 16 ounce, and we went back to 12, and so went through all that. We opened a bottle shop in 2016, and that was a game changer. So we got a liquor license, and so we had that in the back of an alley. So people were just coming down this alley. Sometimes it was dark, sometimes it was scary.
Come back here. It's fine. We've got beer.
Yeah. But over the years, we had thousands of people coming down that alley, and still to this day, people are like, "Oh, you're the one with the alley. Like I've been to your place." So we were doing that for a while with the shop, and then our lease was coming up, and I was looking for a place, and we were going to move to this firehouse in Jefferson Park. We teamed up with a developer, and everything looked good, but for some reason the city just really lagged big time, and it took almost like 5 years before that building was finally sold to the developer, and by that time my lease was done. I had been 10 years in the back of an alley, and so I had to get out of there, and so I made a decision to move to Avondale, and found a nice small building. It was an old auto shop, and in a very nice up and coming neighborhood. There's construction everywhere. There's a lot of new restaurants and
there's a lot of
businesses.
places over there.
So even though the firehouse was in the heart of Jefferson Park, it was tough to go, but I just waited so long, and so I think going to Avondale was a good move from a location standpoint, and finally to open the tap room. So that was the goal, is to
I'd say
get
that's
the tap room open.
Obviously, the most important part is to reopen your business.
Yeah, I mean, we got licensed to sell beer and deliver out to the accounts we were working with. I still don't have any type of retail license, so when we left the alley, we had to abandon our retail licenses because that is locational based.
Yeah.
And so, but found this good location, and it's a little bit more expensive to operate there, and we need to do some work to the building, and so my wife and I, before doing the brewery, we were architects, and we did the plans ourselves, and we got
That's awesome.
We got the building permits, and we did the plumbing so we could brew beer and have all the drainage and everything. And now we're at the next step where we're trying to finish the tap room and get that open and be underway.
So to clarify, you're currently brewing and going out distributing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had that license since last. We left Montrose in December 2023, and by March. Was it December 2022, and by March 2023 we had our state license and were starting to make beer and distributing it out. And most of the places that we distribute it to were a lot of our custom accounts of like the Superdog beers that we make, Morton Arboretum, Recess, Chip In. We do a lot of custom labels, and
all the Superdog labels are super cool.
Yeah. So
nothing against the other labels, but they just they really.
I mean, they're his labels.
Yeah, they really match up and sync up with Superdog. It's the Superdog theme to it.
Yeah. So that's been the bulk of it, and then some Benny's locations, Whole Foods. We're on tap at a few bars on the northwest side.
Sidekicks?
Some in Avondale. Yeah, Sidekicks as well.
It's always there.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we went to Beer Under Glass, my father-in-law dropped me off at the metro station, and apparently he looped around and he went down the alley thinking the brewery was still there. And then he was like, when I got back, he was like, "What happened to that brewery that was like?" I'm like,
they moved.
I had to tell him the whole story, and I was like, and he was like, "Oh, so they're still around?" I'm like, "Yeah," because he loved there was a Scottish beer.
It was a smoked
Scottish, like something like that.
Was it aged in the
I believe
Scotch
so.
barrel?
Yeah.
That was like a weekend event.
That was the one, like, I brought him to a tasting.
Oh, yeah, and I was
walked
with I came with you.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
And we walked around, and he's like, he loved that beer. Like, he, does not stop talking about that beer. And
it's like such a love-hate. People either love that beer or they hate it.
He, looped around to, see if it was, he's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, they're not out of business. He's like, he just relocated. Things will be back.
It's a washing facility now. So the costume shop, they expanded actually. And, I'm not sure how they're doing now, but they were expanding and bringing on a lot of people, and they had taken on more business, bought another company, I think. And they needed a facility in house to wash all of their rentals and costumes, and they do
keep it in house
stuff for movies, mascots, all kinds of stuff. So they needed that space, and they gave us. I mean, they told us a year ahead of time. We had a year to find a place, and we started the search, and Avondale. We needed a building that did not have any residents above or anything like that, and we needed commercial zoning, and we needed a location that did not have any liquor moratorias, because to lift or change zonings or lift moratorias, we just didn't have the luxury or the time to do something like that.
Sure.
And so when you look at a zoning map and calculate all those requirements, there's really only 5 or 6 places on the north side that meet that criteria.
Oh, wow.
And so I was able to map that, and so it's either Northwest Highway. There's some stuff up in Edgewater on Broadway. Mm-hmm. Some properties like that, near Chinatown North there. And then and Avondale had a couple of places like that, and not many other places. So that's why we got that spot there. So if you're ever looking to start a business, make sure you have the zoning. If you're doing alcohol, make sure you understand the liquor laws in the area. Another area is Albany Park, and we nearly moved in there. We negotiated for 4 months on a building there, and things fell through at the last minute. So Avondale is actually our second choice, but I'm actually happy we ended up there. It's a good area.
It's nice when things work out like that. Like you said, started at the Firehouse and then looked into Albany Park and now end up in Avondale.
Yeah.
And I saw the I don't know where it was. I don't remember if it was in the email for the open house or the Facebook event or somewhere online. The sketch of what everything is supposed to look like with the actual brewery of what you have in
Oh
mind
yeah,
for,
like
which
the
is-
renderings.
Yeah, the renderings. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I mean, we were excited at the beginning when you're moving to the firehouse because finally have a tap room for Lake Effect to go and hang out. So seeing more development of it, like you said, the renderings, I'm even more excited to check it out.
Yeah, the renderings. I love getting mileage out of that. My wife and I. Mainly my wife put those together, and they're pretty cool, and we'll have those printed really big at our open house, you can see them in the video on our crowdfunding page. The videographer did a really good job of like showing the existing and then kind of flashing to what it would look like in the future. And
cool. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I did see that,
yeah. And that guy did that. He did the whole thing in like an hour.
That's insane.
I mean, he was there for 45 minutes and recording stuff and, the voiceovers and all that. And then he flew the drone around and then he left. And by the time I got home, like an hour later, the file was already there. So
that's crazy.
I mean, that's some serious training and talent there.
I was to say if I hired somebody and 45 minutes are done, I'm like, are you sure? That's it.
It was like so good.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I didn't make any changes. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
you're in the new space. You're brewing. You're distributing. So the next step is the honeycomb.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not. Well, the next step is the tap room. But along with the tap room, you have a honeycomb fundraiser. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So doing construction in the city of Chicago is like really expensive.
No, something's expensive in Chicago. Crazy.
And it takes a long time. And so even though we saved some money doing the architectural drawings ourselves, it took about 6 months to get the drawings to the point where we could submit them. And then it spent a long time in review. And the city was very slow, but we also have like a team of people too. Like we have our engineer and, we just had to kind of, and the contractors, and we had to get everybody on board. So everything we did just seemed to take a lot longer than we thought. And for instance, just like finding a contractor is you want to get a few bids, right? So sometimes just getting those bids based on our permit drawings, it would take 2 or 3 months just to get some numbers in that we could. Because we had an idea how much it would cost, but we had no idea how these numbers would come. So we did get 5 bids in the end, and one was like so crazy expensive that we just laughed. We're like, this is stupid. Let's not do this. But we had some others that were like in our price range that we could raise. But yeah, it just took us so long going through. We had some rent abatement, but then, the wholesale business, delivering to people's houses, or sorry, not to houses, delivering to bars and restaurants. Mm-hmm. For a small producer, it's not lucrative at all. In fact, if you don't have the retail components, such as your bottle shop and tours and the people drinking on site, you're going to start going negative. And so that was something that we were seeing. We really needed those other streams of revenue, and then compounded with the length of time to get through permits and get the construction, the contractors all together. It just about 1.5 years went by.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, all the money that we had to do the construction, was starting to get sucked away. So that's the reality of it. So yeah, we need to figure out how to raise more money. So we're doing a few things. One is we applied to a lot of grants, and we applied for a grant in August of last year with the city of Chicago. That's called the Recovery Grant, and there's like 500 people sign up for it. We it has to be a shovel-ready project, and it has to meet a lot of different requirements. And we ended up qualifying for it, and ultimately winning it.
That's awesome.
So, what that grant does, it pays up to 75% of all construction costs that are qualified.
Nice.
So we have that in the bag, which is good. But the thing is, they don't just write you a check at the beginning and say, "Oh yeah, you know."
You got to do everything first.
Yeah, you got to do everything first, and so so in a lot of respects, we're really just looking for some bridge funding, just to get to that, and then be able to trigger reimbursements back. So that was one thing we did, so we could check that box. And then the other thing is we do have some startup costs. Like the grant doesn't cover everything. You know, you need point of sale, you need, you know, your TV, you need your furniture, you know, different types of like exit, like fire extinguishers don't count. The sign outside that's not covered.
Wow.
So that's another.
You would think something like that would be covered because it's like it's mandatory. You're gonna need those
Like a
things.
fire extinguisher, like okay.
It has to be something like built like part of the building that can't be taken away, I guess.
That makes sense then.
So I think it does. But,
I mean, that explanation, like, I'm not saying it makes sense.
yeah. So there's another like few tens of thousands of dollars there that we need to raise there. So enter. Now we've looked at some loans, and the thing with the loans right now is the interest rates are so high. So
I was just gonna say that's probably the worst time to take a loan.
The loans are essentially would be like doing the whole project on a credit card.
Oh, God.
And that's how the rates are. So that is very difficult. I know other small business owners that are having issues with that as well. So we went to this platform called Honeycomb, and I have a friend who has a pizza business in Florida. She did it and raised $85,000, and now she's open and doing her thing. Another brewery, Temperance Brewing, just did one, and
they were the first ones we heard about because it was right after we talked to them.
Yeah, they were successful with it as well. And so what those are, there's what they did was what people do is they see your plan. So everything's they do like there's a video and what you're trying to do, and they see your plan, and then they can donate or not donate. They're investing actually. And
I was gonna say, isn't that the big difference between some of these like GoFundMe and things like that? Like you're actually investing into the business.
Exactly. So that what they have was like a loan. So you're investing, and then you're supposed to get the principal paid back plus a little bit of interest, and the payment terms are very generous. They give you a long time to do it, and so it's manageable. The interest rate it's pretty decent. It's around 10%, and you have a pretty long payback. And then they have a second one, which is called equity raise, and so that is you're actually buying shares of those companies, and then when the company is stable and doing well, then you get distributions based on the performance of the company and how many shares that you have of the company. So we did that route because our company already has a structure with shares, so we were able just to set aside some shares that could be sold on on that platform. And so what Honeycomb does is they create this financial vehicle that allows just anybody to invest into their vehicle. So those are what you call unaccredited investors. So if you invest in the stock market, anybody can do that because they've done their IPO and their official vehicles. So anybody can invest in that as low as $100, as much as you want, and own the shares.
No limit on how much, as far as how high you want to go.
We're trying to get, I mean, the maximum is 115,000, so that's like 115,000 units.
Yeah.
We have like 1 million units, so it's about 11. So I'm going to part with the equity of like 11.5% if we reach that, and that seems to be a reasonable number, and then someone from that Honeycomb group will sit as the Honeycomb will be the accredited investor that is part of the company. So if that makes sense. So anyway, we've never done this before. It's a fairly new product that they're doing. They've done about 10 or 15 of them. There was a brewery called Voodoo Brewing that did one, and they raised like, I don't know, $400,000 or something.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
So anyway, we said, well, why not? Let's give it a try. I was looking at like some of the other crowdfunding platforms, and I just felt like this was better because we're actually giving you, like, you're actually taking part in it and being part of the company and the journey, and we're not just
asking for. I mean, there's a time and a place, I think, to use those types of outlets and those sites and platforms, like you say, to raise money. It's not like a short term thing, which I think you still could have got something, but I think that this approach is probably more appealing to people. Especially.
I hope so.
I mean, especially like
if they were just going to give me the money. Then, okay.
You wanted that too. That's all right.
I know.
I think it's more appealing because, like you said, you get a chance. You're investing into it and becoming a part of it. Like you said, it's not just here's my money and I can write off as a tax deduction.
And we've wanted to do something like this for a while. I think there were some laws that changed that allowed companies like Honeycomb to exist, and when you have the accredited investors, first of all, by state law you're only allowed, like, I forget how many it is, a certain amount to invest in your company. So you can't take small investments like that. We need larger chunks of money. It just makes sense to do that.
Sure.
And so a lot of times when we were talking to people, they were always under like the minimum that they could invest, or they just could only do like 1,000 or 500 or whatever. So this at least allows that, and that's what we're seeing. People coming into the campaign, they're coming in at amounts like 250, 500, 1,000. So you're seeing that, and those are adding up to something. So that's what we're trying to do. 50,000 is the minimum. If we get above 50,000, we get to use the money.
Nice.
And the 115 is the top. And ideally, the higher up we are, the better.
Yeah, of course.
Because then we can use that as the bridge to trigger the reimbursements from the city, and then the reimbursements from the city we can take and fold it back into some of the operating and startup expenses.
So that's really interesting, and that's cool to know that there's companies like that out there to not only just help another company raise money, so to speak, but to help you invest into it. We'll put the link in the episode description so that everybody knows where to go. And when we come back, we're going to drink an older Lake Effect beer that Brandon's been holding onto into his cellar.
And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that ad. I forgot to do the whole 20-minute thing. That's all right. It's one ad. We're still sitting here with Clint from Lake Effect, and Brandon has busted out a beer. When is this from?
Is there a date on here, Clint?
I don't think he needs to date his cans because
There's no date.
It was in-house.
But
I'm going to
it's
say 2021 maybe.
yeah, probably.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
So you've had this in your cellar, correct?
correct.
What are we drinking?
Imperial Beelzebreath, bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout with chocolate and chilies. Clocking in at 13% ABV.
Wow. I like for just, and I'm feeling like I just couldn't complete a full sentence there. I just took a first sip. It's sweeter than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I like that. There is a warming. Yeah, I'm sometimes I'm sensitive because I think I have acid reflux. I probably should go to a doctor and talk about. But there's a warming that I'm not sure if it's. I don't think it's booze. I think it might actually be chili because it's not really spicy. There's like
I got it too.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's booze or chili, but it's not like off-putting. It's not like I'm uncomfortable. It's like a warming drink.
Nice. Yeah, well, I'm eating this hot pepper beef jerky right now. So
I'll give this one a try as well. I have a smaller piece.
But I felt like I was feeling that warming even through that. So yeah, there's a little bit there. Chili beers are tough ones because you don't want to blow people away with the chili flavor, but you want to have it just enough where people get it.
Yeah.
And one of the beers we'll try a little bit. I think has a nice balance of that. But yeah, it's nice that this has the warming and it's not gonna overpower you with that flavor.
Yeah, and
it is sweet. Yeah, it's much sweeter than I thought.
I was gonna say I haven't had
this does go well with
any of the jerky tonight.
It goes well with it.
But there's the spice is still coming through. No, I don't need any right now.
Come on.
But I've eaten
dip it in the beer.
It's the perfect pairing.
I've eaten enough of that jerky. But the spice, I feel like, still comes through. Like even like if you're calling this a 3-year-old beer, like
well, that's what I was gonna say. For it being aged, it's at least 2, right? It at least have to be 2 years old. 2022 would be the very latest, but no, because that was when that was everything was wrapping up.
Yeah,
over there. So you'd probably already you probably had finished doing all whatever barrel aged things you had. So it's got to be at least 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. So.
Yeah, because we were trying to finish all the barrels at the end, and by the time we moved, we had no barrels. So and that was 2022. So I think this is 2021. Oh yeah, I could really feel it. Yeah, that. But yeah, as I was saying during the, like it is a little thin just because of the type of yeast we use. We use like a high powered yeast that just it chews through everything, and so it does drink thin, but it's very strong at alcohol.
Yes,
and
it's 13%, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we switched up. We were using another yeast before that didn't attenuate as much, and so it left a lot more residual body and sweetness in it. And it has to be 2021 because in 2022 we switched back to that yeast, and the 2022 ones are thicker.
We were talking.
They're back to that like sort of that thickness, that viscosity that people like. So this is for the person that wants to like pound it and get as drunk as possible. You know who you are. Like you know who those people are.
We know them. It's not us down here.
They come in and they buy beer based on how high alcohol it is.
Yeah.
This one is.
That one's for you guys.
Probably good for you. Yeah.
It's funny drinking this with the jerky because it does pair really nicely. It almost makes me feel like I'm not drinking a barrel-aged stout as much as I'm drinking maybe like a sweet liquor of some sort.
It is very liquor-like. Yeah.
But that's when you take that away, though. You're just having it. You do get like some chocolatiness in there. Mm-hmm. Like you can smell chocolate on there too.
Oh yeah,
it's there.
Brandon, I'm glad we saved this and we didn't just randomly drink it. Don't you still have one of the Fanny's collaborations too lying around somewhere?
I thought we drank it.
You might be right. I always just think you have one of something else, just one more left. Because you've had one more left for so long. Don't you still have one more King Henry left from Goose Island?
Nope. Aww. I wish I did.
So do I. That was great.
I'm impressed with how well this drinks. And I mean, I was not thinking that it was going to be a bad beer. but I'm impressed with like just talking to you about like how you expected the body to be and everything else. Like it holds up, and it's
the flavors are all there.
Yeah. And I'm getting the spice, and like I said,
you're not partaking in the.
I'm not eating the jerky. I've eaten enough of that jerky.
I'm gonna share this at work tomorrow. Make them sweat in the hot.
But there's like literally like there's a subtle spice. There's chocolate. There's barrel. There's everything you would want in a beer. Like I'm impressed. I'm glad this held up as well as it did.
I'm bummed when this happens when you age a beer or you sit on it for a while and you're like, oh wow, this is really good, but you only had one. Because it's hit or miss if you're aging beers. I don't really like. We've talked about this. You should probably drink them fresh. Brandon has so many that we can't drink them fresh.
Yeah.
He's got a whole closet full back over there.
So many beers.
And his secret thumbprint, mine or his, to get inside. But it's a shame because it would be nice to have one more of these.
Yeah.
So if you guys have this lying around in your cellar, let us know.
I'll have to look and see when it. Yeah, I might.
That's like
I feel like I saw.
What do you got laying around?
Yeah.
I don't. I have the only beers I have.
Actually, I was going to ask.
Laying around are. I have some wild ales that.
Any of those Scotch beers? My father-in-law.
None of those. But I have a lot of the wild ales, like the School of Brett's. Those are. I have a collection of that at home. I like trying these like after a few years. But I really like trying the wilds too. I feel like they evolve like as much as these in a lot of ways.
I remember it was maybe a year or two ago or something. I sent you a text that my brother-in-law and I opened up one of those like wine bottle or I forgot, the 375 milliliters when Pamplemousse was in that.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
the original like label, the grapefruit label on it.
Yeah.
And it held up great.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good. That's actually one of my favorite Lake Effect beers of all time. The Pamplemousse is just really
I like
tasty.
that one, yeah.
Oh. Falcon Dive is there too, but Pamplemousse that's pretty solid.
Yeah, someone recently sent me an email with a picture of one of our first wild ales from so many years ago. We called it VL Blonde.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember it was the first beer I think it was the first and next to last beer that we used wax on.
Never again.
And we overdid it, and the wax was like so hard to get off. So he said he was going to pop it open. I said, "Well, good luck getting through all that wax."
It's a whole box of Crayola crayons in there.
I stopped doing the wax after a while. It was a phase for a lot of breweries were doing it for like a couple of years there.
I mean, it definitely looks cool. It's definitely appealing.
Beer.
Yeah. If I would say like an anniversary beer would be fun, or like a special collaboration. But to just do it it's kind of like, we thought about, or I don't know if Brandon, you had ever thought of it, but my brother-in-law Mike and I definitely had thought about we should, for a homebrew, let's do dip some of these in the wax. I'm glad we never did it, because that would have just been.
There's a trick to it. I mean, you just gotta make sure the wax consistency is right and it's not too thick, and that was. We just could not get those things off. It was such a great idea, but it was such a disaster.
So I have a couple questions, because I know a little bit. I mean, anybody who's been to your original location knows what kind of setup you had there in the back, which I always thought was kind of fun, because you said you went from homebrew to stepping up, taking it to the next level, and it literally was. I mean, it's been awesome to be there for brew days. I've helped mash out and then dump it into the fucking garbage can. That was fun. But also I've been there for bottling when you did the Fernet Stout.
Yeah.
I think I was done doing deliveries, and I came back. It was like 1 o'clock. I think Eric was working there at the time, and you had it was like 7 Because they're I don't think they're big bottles, but they were bigger bottles. Maybe they might. I don't know if they were bombers. I don't know. I can't remember the size of the bottle, but it was like a 7 or 5 to 7 fill bottle filler.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 4. Yeah, we had a 4-head, yeah.
Yeah, 4-head. That was the most fun and also stressful I've ever had filling beers because some would fill faster than the others. And it just seemed like you guys were able to, like, you figured out how to do that. I have to assume that in the new facility, you're maybe stepping away from things like that.
Well, I mean, bottling in general, but
yeah. But, I mean, like, more of the homemade type.
More automated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every brewery, and sometimes I help out other breweries, and every now and then I'll go over to Illuminate It Brewing and help them with canning, and they have that same
setup,
that same machine.
Yeah, actually,
they don't. Obviously, no one uses that anymore, but all the breweries had this little and we all we built ours, I think I have 3 of them, and for different size, the 750, and then we had the 12-ounce ones, and then we had an adjustable one that we could do for all of them, and so I mean, we could do quite a lot on them, but yeah, I mean, you won't see that. We do have a manual seamer, that you can use for crowlers and cans, and so we don't have a really big nice machine or anything for that. But what I'm really trying to do with the Taproom is I like to sell most of our beer in the Taproom. Yeah. I like sending beer out. I like I do like selling kegs and cans and things like that. But it's something that balances the activities in the tap room, and the margins in the tap room are much better for what we're doing. So being a small wholesaler and selling in the market, we're just too small to really make any profit off of
just
that. You really have to have an economy of scale to really make that work, and the distribution network. And we tried that for a while, and it's tough. We need millions and millions and millions of dollars to really do it right, and that's just something that just I guess it'd be cool and everything, but it just doesn't really interest me. And what we've tried with it just doesn't. Well, it doesn't really yield any major returns.
I was going to say,
other than marketing.
It doesn't necessarily rule it out from the future, but it's probably best to just focus on in-house stuff anyways. I mean, this is what you've been working towards when you were ready to have a tap room.
Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely send beers out as a way to sort of balance it, but never as a big move to be oh, we're going to go big, we're going to be in all these states and stuff. I just think I think that time has really passed for breweries.
Sure.
And maybe it will come back again, but we're locating in a very busy neighborhood in a very big city.
Yeah, there's a lot over there. I had another question about the tap room.
Yeah.
I know originally when you were talking about the firehouse, there was an idea to have a kitchen. Now, is that a thing you guys are going to have at the new tap room, or is it going to be a place where people can bring food in possibly?
Yeah, so no kitchen there because at the location it's too small for that. But we have restaurants all over the place. There's one right across the street that we've been talking to where we could have menu items and people could actually order them, and
just get it,
the food just magically appears. And I see that in a lot of tap rooms that I visited, and so we're looking at doing something like that. In our plans, we do have a space where a food truck can pop up and do that. So we would be looking at a lot of pop-ups.
That's cool.
And maybe on the weekends have some sort of a lot of breweries do that.
Yeah.
I'll go over to Temperance, and they'll have different food trucks, or only on certain days, because I think it's important to have, and we'll have some snacks that you can buy. And in our plans, we do have like a space where we can put a little pizza oven.
Oh, cool.
As well, and having a full-fledged kitchen. We were talking about doing it at the firehouse. That was really a request from someone, and we really didn't want to do it. But
fair enough.
But I just want to stick to the beer.
Yeah.
And that's what I know. The kitchen would just give me a crazy headache.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother side of. It's another business. Not only are you, you're focused on brewing and making beer and selling beer. Then all of a sudden it's like doing that, and I'm running a restaurant and managing a restaurant and getting someone to manage a restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Within the walls of your brewery.
My nightmare, like that, I wake up cold sweat, is me like somehow in the kitchen like cooking things. Like someone like complaining about their stuffed mushrooms or whatever, that they're not well done or whatever. And me just losing my mind and just running out of the place like
I do have another question.
Yeah.
Now, we just drank one of your barrel-aged beers, and we were talking about the wild beers. Is there going to be barrel-aged things happening in the new tap room?
There will be, but it's going to be scaled back. Okay. So,
like special release at tap room only type of deal, obviously? Because I know you were talking about maybe not cutting back on the distribution specifically and focusing on the tap room.
Yeah. The tap room, we don't have a lot of room for barrels, but we have some walls that we can put barrels on. Like back in the day, I used to have over 100 barrels in the other room there.
Yeah.
And barrel
I've got pictures of that room.
We went big on barrels, and that was cool for a little while. But that seemed to have been a bit of a trend, or maybe there was too much of it out in the market. So,
you mean too much barrel-aged beer in Chicago? That's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot out there. Like, you see, like, I remember, Goose Island, Bourbon County, like, people clamoring over that, and then now it's like, there's still stacks of it, like, all over the city.
Benny's had a sale, or still has a sale going on with last year, so.
So, I mean, it's not, so we would have some for the tap room, and we would just kind of gauge it based on how interested people are in it, and I also think the interest in people drinking barrel-aged beers has gone down quite a bit. I think it's, they're big, crazy beers. There's
Aggie's here. She's finally made it. Yeah,
but we'll have a wall dedicated to it, and we'll probably be doing a lot of smaller barrels, like 30-gallon barrels, and that way we can do like different varieties and different sort of takes on it.
Cool.
And
explore like different options, because we talked about the Scotch barrel, the Scotch barrel stuff. I mean, like you said, love it or hate it, but still, I mean, that's a fun small batch. If you get your hands on something like that and still be able to try other things, rum, tequila, and you've pretty much, as far as I know, you've pretty much done everything.
I've pretty much done every barrel. And I learned, I mean, it was a fun, I was learning not only about like what kind of flavors I can get from the beer, but I also was learning a lot about the spirits themselves, and trying different types like Madeira wine, and
it sounds like a really tough job.
Sherry, and I made it my job, and I went to Scotland one year, and learned all about Scotch and visited a bunch of distilleries. And
jeez,
so
that's awesome.
What was you back in the days?
Awesome. That was awesome back in the days. I want to go back there so bad and drink more Scotch. But I mean, I would love to have all that, and if the interest in barrel aging, comes back, the nice thing is the state has made it very easy to to deal with the barrel aging, they have a very cheap permit that you can get. You can move your barrels to a warehouse or
nice.
Many different places. So even if we don't have the space,
You can go to
in
a
the actual
location.
location. We can go to a warehouse down the street, or if somebody has.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's some other breweries who might have space for you too if you needed it.
Yeah.
We just need a couple of barrels here. Actually, we were talking about restaurants there. I'm pretty sure there's. I don't think it's Korean barbecue, but it's an Asian restaurant that I've been to where like you make your own stuff at the table. It's not too far, I think, from where you're at.
Like in Logan Square, probably.
Yeah, probably closer over there. But that place was really good. I was thinking that would be a nice stop. Go there and then go to you. Brandon and I have talked about it a bunch. We're really excited to finally be able to sit with you in your tap room. And once everything's open, we'll come there and hang out and have a couple beers, and we'll talk to you again so you can catch up.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of good places around there. There's like the Avondale Bowl, which was about a block from us. Really cool bowling alley that was restored in all its glory. It's beautiful, and they have this amazing bar. Fun fact: I was talking to Garrett at Pipeworks, and he was saying that was one of the locations that they were thinking of moving to or having their tap room, and very interesting. Like they were like really serious about it at one time, and but yeah, there's like a really great Polish restaurant, Star Polska. Nice. We have an awesome cafe across the street that roasts their own beans. So like our intersection would be like one of the best smelling intersections in that area, and there's just so much more coming. There's like a new restaurant, Warlord, which is like there's a line out the door every night that they're open. Like people camp out and stuff for it.
What?
It doesn't have any. There's no social media presence. There's no sign. It's just this building, and this facade, and you'll see the lineup of people, but they cook everything like on the wood fires, and
that's cool.
I want to go.
Pretty neat. Yeah,
very interested.
There's no reservations, so you just show up.
Serve.
Yeah, show up and try and get in the first seating, but their kitchen is open till like 2 a.m. So
that's cool.
That's how I got in. I had to win at midnight. And
just wait.
There was still a little bit of a wait, but so there's a lot going on there. Sleeping Village is another great beer list, but a really good concert venue.
I've yet to go to Sleeping Village for a show.
Yeah, the beer list there is fantastic. The beer buyer was he used to be the beer buyer over at Map Room, and so he kind of brought his expertise over there.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of good stuff over there, like really rare and hard to find beers.
Nice. Let's go there. Mm-hmm. Well, we're super excited. Thanks again for joining us and sharing an update. It's nice to, it's one thing to read things on social media and the emails and everything. It's also nice to hear it from, the person who's been living through it. And we will post the honeycomb link, like I said, for this episode, and share it. And we look forward to drinking some more Lake Effect beers and having a beer with you in the tap room soon, man.
Sounds great. Can't wait to have you guys. Yeah,
Brandon, anything No,
I appreciate it, and I got a cat with me now.
All right, so Brandon, I love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Bye.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us individually on social media. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, and on Untapped as BDubDrinksBeer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Ace of Help Chicago, on Twitter, The Ace of Help Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Dan can be found on Instagram as hip__hops and hip hops on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at The Malting Hour.